think I need to catch up with where you guys are. And if I have something relevant to say, I will.
Yep, we'll do that now. Hey, everybody. Just figured I'd start the stream. We're waiting for a few other key folks to join, but didn't want to keep folks who are at home waiting. This is our weekly Epiphyte meetup where our team gets together and works through design issues, orders parts, and very soon is going to be reporting on the next build of Epiphyte at UT Austin in Texas, where I and UT team are located. Got Seth joining as well. Hey, Seth, how are you?
Good. How are you, Chris? I'm
good. I'm super excited, man. The parts are rolling in. So I'm going to show some of those pictures. And you said something a couple of weeks ago that got me, as soon as I saw the chimney pipe, which I'll show in a second, come in, you had talked about, oh, I like the modular part of that. And boy, is this modular. And it got me thinking about another thing, which I've shared with the sequestration team at UT. So we'll get into that in a second. We got Jochen popping in again. Me and Jochen have been chatting. I'm hard to pin down, as he knows, but he has branched out into his own super awesome miniature DAC device, which probably, what was it, about a month ago or 6 weeks ago, maybe, Jochen, you were on, and sounds like you're progressing pretty awesome there. So looking forward to seeing our cousin DAC unit come to fruition. Anything you want to just share in terms of small victories or headaches or?
No, I mean, for me, the main thing was obviously building the hardware was not so difficult. The major problem for me was the censoring and the coding, because I had zero experience there. So it was a hard few months, weeks and months to get this sorted. But as of, I guess pretty much today, I can say that, that's all working. So it's now into the sorbent chemistry side and then doing the first tests.
Very cool.
Looking good so far.
Great. And you got a couple of people who were, were you on that? There is a possible school as well, but we also heard from somebody about the University of Munich who was interested in being involved in our side too. Someone WhatsApped me, and I was too rude to say, "Who is this?" but they are interested in being involved in Epiphyte. So the timing is good. And then we have the few people at UPenn that are waiting in the wings for us to start building. So got a nice little community forming here. Let me just check the Discord here and see if anybody's having a hard time getting on. Evan said he was running 5 minutes late. Charles said he was running a little bit late. And then Will is also running a little bit late. All right. Well, let me bring people up to speed a little bit. Oh, there we go. Here's Thomas. Fantastic. Hey, Thomas. What's up, man?
Not much. How you doing, sir?
Doing really well. Very excited with all the stuff that is arriving.
Yes.
So I'm going to start there. We're going to have to drop. This will be a short call today. We'll drop at the half hour. I just got pulled into something that I can't get out of.
All right. No problem.
Seth also has to leave then too, but we can cover some of the exciting developments. I'll wait for Will to get on before I share some feedback that we got from Kirsch on the questions he had around the monolith. But let's go ahead and start. So I'll just show a picture first, and then Thomas, I'll just see how your team reacted. We have had a number of parts arrive. The stuff that's arriving tomorrow by 5 o'clock, apparently FedEx is going to drop off the monoliths from China. So that means, Thomas, I can bring those over for your guys' meeting and just drop those off for you like I did last week. But the drop-off I did on Sunday for Thomas's team was this bad boy here, the chimney pipe, which if you remember, if you've been following, it's a bit hard to follow, but we had a stovepipe, and then we figured that we had a couple issues with that, and then we were returning to the idea of doing clay tubes, which still seem awesome, but they're very hard to get shipped. And then we've reached out to a couple of ceramic studios about possibly building one in the future, but haven't heard. So I just made a kind of executive decision when I found out about the alternate to stovepipe is chimney pipe. And I don't know how this escaped my attention before, but it turns out to be just completely awesome. So this arrived at my house last week. You're looking at it. This is going to be, oh, great. We got Evan. Hey, Evan. And we got two parts of it, and you can see there they're made of stainless steel. They're doubled walled, which is great in terms of just sort of the insulation, but also reducing the hot to touch on the outside. But they have that threading there that you can see in the middle picture pretty clearly, where the different parts screw onto each other. So we have a 36-inch one, and then we have a 12-inch one, and those are going to fit together. Just disregard the top part there. That's my new zany idea. But you can see the bottom part will have the fan, which has already arrived, and the heater, which has arrived, which is in the UT's team, hands, and then the monolith chamber, and then you just screw those together. So those are cool. And they also have some little ridges inside that can, here's Charles, that are good things for potentially fitting in plates that we might want to attach the sort of flange of the heater for. So there's some stuff to play with there. But Thomas, what were your thoughts? I handed them off and then I drove away. What are your thoughts on the new gear?
It's fantastic. It's really good. It works, puts together as we hoped. I think it's very attachable on the inside. I've already started mesh transfers, cogs turning. Hopefully by this next meeting they'll have their defined method on how they want to attach them inside of it. We also got some good ideas from different teams on different parts. One idea that I had that we're still discussing, we're not sure if we're set on this, but potentially if instead of, I know you discussed wanting to attach the sequestration chamber. I know that was his initial idea of attaching the sequestration chamber on the top of the machine and having that also be modular in that way. One of the ideas was that, especially if we're looking to, save money, all those things, the 12-inch part specifically, I don't know if it shows it clear in that photo, but it has both the bottom and top parts to be attached. Like it can be put on the top or the bottom. Like it has like that both complete thing, just like the main 36-inch one. The idea was to potentially maybe cut the 12-inch part right above those, like in grooves on the bottom part. And then use that cut smaller portion on the bottom to attach to the top, potentially attach a funnel to it, and have that be how we pump it out towards whatever the sequestration chamber might be. I don't know if I'm making a lot of sense by saying that. I drew it out for some guys, and we're still talking about it. But that might be, we're thinking of a lot of ideas to do with these parts, and I think they're flexible enough that we can do a lot of different ideas. I think we're just going to keep thought experimenting and have a solid idea by this next meeting.
Yeah, cool. So just share the drawing with me, but whatever direction you guys want to go in is fine by me. Just to show the thing I was considering, I was telling Seth, he had remarked on, he's like, oh, wow, I love we were just talking about the separation of the monolith chamber from the heat and fan chamber. He's like, oh, I like the modularity of that. And then I started to think about what you were just describing. If we had another one of those 12 inches or whatever size, where we could put the, Petri dishes of the solution on the inside of and have a cap, that if you put one of those, screwed one of those on top and had like a little vacuum on top of that, and then one of those one-way valves that pulls gas in, but gas doesn't go back the other direction, then you could do a thing where you screw that part on, which caps it, which it can just be sitting there during the whole heating process. But then you could unscrew it, take the monolith chamber separately off, and then you could possibly attach the mineralization chamber, screw it onto the heating chamber, and then use the heater for that for our mineralization needs. That was just a late at night zany idea I had, which we can take or leave. But if you guys have a better idea, definitely pursue it. But go ahead and whip up a little illustration if you can, and we can, we do whatever you guys think is best.
I mean, one zany idea with modularity is you can take the full monolith out and put it into a different unit. So you've got an absorption unit and a desorption unit, and you're running in parallel.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. You know what I mean? Which could be, pretty sweet. It's manual, but it's kind of a cool manual. You just go cool and then turn it on and stuff like that. But real quick, Thomas, just go ahead and run your idea by me again, and how it's similar or different to what I proposed. And again, we'll go with what you guys think is best since you're building it. But go ahead and run by me again what your concept is.
Yeah. So in terms of like what we want versus like what your or like what like our idea is, this is just mine. This is like something that In fact, when I brought it up, I already had some disagreements, so don't worry about it being a solid idea. We still haven't discussed it in a proper meeting yet. But the idea was that with this 12-inch that we currently have, having it cut like around, I'd say like 4 inches into the bottom, or like 3 or something, so that the threads, threads, one of those two, the engravings are still a part of the bottom part, like are taken out. And that way we could keep the bottom as the heating and fan system, while we take that bottom portion, make it into more like a funnel system, and have that be able to be attached to the top during the desorption phase, and have that attach that to a simple drop PVC pipe kind of thing, to have that use a vacuum pump and pump that to the sequestration chamber. That was under the impression that the sequestration would be a separate chamber to be pumped to. But I think that your modularity makes a lot of sense and stuff like that. It's something to have everybody discuss. And again, this was just an initial concept idea. We haven't agreed upon it.
Let's talk about it. I wonder if any of our regular listeners to J3ANX or any of you have any thoughts, pop them in the comments. The one thing I would say is if we cut that in half, then we probably need about a foot, because we need to have the fan and the heater to be a little bit separate from each other. So the heater is 6 inches and the fan, I think, is like 3 inches wide. So, but the other thing we could always do is order another one of those. They also have 12 and 6-inch chimney parts. There's a whole bunch. There's 12, 9, 6, like they come in all sorts of different sizes in the 7-inch interior diameter. So anyway, you guys think that through, but it sounds like we're roughly in the same, at least sort of idea of using this thing as the mineralization, potentially using a piece of this for the mineralization. So, okay. So a couple other things that came up too, which is exciting, is we have our sorbent that arrived. It was sort of missing for a little while at UT, but Will was able to track it down. So we got our branched PEI, which is exciting. That's obviously a huge part of it. Charles and Evan would have missed this because I said it right before you joined. The monoliths I'm tracking are going to get dropped off at my house at some point tomorrow before 5 p.m. We have 6-inch by 6-inch, 100 cells per square inch cordierite monoliths that are arriving. And I'll go throw those in my car, drive them over to you guys before your meeting, which hopefully I can hang out at for a little bit. So like most of our major components, the other thing I found too, guys, was, we keep having this image of, just this bypass tube. I may have mentioned it a while ago, but we have Duravent itself, the same company that makes the chimney pipe, has 2-inch diameter flexible aluminum tubes that are 5 inches long. So we can just order that. We'll have to figure out how we attach it with a gasket so it's well sealed. But I think that will serve our purposes in terms of size and diameter. And it's like $15. So not going to order that quite yet. These guys deliver in 24 to 48 hours. So we have some time. I'll meet up with you guys on Thursday and we can make a call around that. But that's exciting. The Wollastonite arrived as well. And I handed that off to Thomas, and the sequestration team can now run some experiments with the Wollastonite. That's the ultramafic powder that we're using for mineralization. Got a nice 5-pound bag of that, which will suit us well, I think, for early runs. I ordered the Arduino Mega, which is supposed to arrive on Friday. So I can hopefully, this weekend's a little tough for me, guys, because we have some family stuff going on, but I'll try to figure out a way to maybe get that over to Alex. I feel like I'm missing something, but anyway, all the parts are coming in. So absolutely thrilled about that. And then Kirsch also did respond. I think I might have already said this in the last 10 minutes, but Kirsch, our monolith buddy, did start to answer some questions. He looked at the video from last week and Will's questions, and I shared those with Will. And now we're just looking for a time to jump on a call with those guys. Maybe you can join us next week even. We could just do a full-on monolith sorbent prep episode. So, all right, a lot of updates there. I'm not dropping the dream of a clay epiphyte. I look at this as this could be awesome. And we just build this and it could be like the sort of the mother one that maybe is permanent. but I would love to try to make one out of clay. And in the Discord, I did do a little bit of research, and I dropped some links about a type of sorbent that uses fire clay, actually. And so I started to explore the possibility of making a ceramic monolith with clay that actually has the sorbent just embedded in it. We can, in a cost saving sort of move down the line, we can kind of consider that, but it would be extremely cool if we could make a clay replica of this at some point. I think the geometry and the shape of everything still lends itself to that. So, all right, let me shut up and see if anybody has any questions. And if Charles and Thomas, I think Will is joining in a minute or so and can join us for the last 10 minutes. But I'm curious, any other kind of sparks of genius or ideas on your guys' side since the meeting on Sunday that you guys had?
We've been finding multiple brackets and kind of compiling those things for like the attachments. I think the biggest challenge right now, like the focus for this week that we want mesh transfer to be finished with, is finding what parts specifically they want to buy and purchase to attach in the internal. And they're optimistic from their cursory look. So that it's going to be pretty straightforward. Besides that, not too much has happened. Everyone's set up on the GitHub. That's good. Everybody knows how to do that now. Not too much besides that. Yeah.
I'm just responding to a message from J3ANX. Yeah, he hopefully will join in a minute or so, and then we'll be able to just give us an update on what happened. But I think Thomas and Charles, I think we're getting to a point where we're going to be building very soon. All the main components will be in hand by this weekend. So when would building happen, guys? Would you guys kind of designate Sundays as build day, or when would you guys mostly getting together to put stuff together?
Traditionally, it's after the 5 to 6 meeting on Thursdays from 6 to 7, or earlier sometimes. We take everybody up into that room and start working. So it'd probably be after those meetings, or during that meeting time that we go over to that workshop. Yeah. So, and in terms of like when we're gonna start doing that, I think next week. Depending on how fast we can get those dampeners, and depending on what they want to go with, we might not even have to order online. Honestly, we go to like a hardware store, depending on what they find. But whatever the case, I think the plan is that we start putting this thing together and really get a thing going by next week.
Okay. Do you think it's possible for this call? Is there somebody on the team who might be able to be with the device and have their camera on so that we can actually take a look at it on these calls?
Yeah, yes, totally. I mean, my class that ends right before this call is very relatively close to the where we would be keeping it. So yeah. If you don't mind me being a little bit late, depending on how long the elevator takes, totally, I could be in the part and I could show that around.
Okay, cool. All right, well, that's exciting. Yeah, we did look at a range of different materials for that. We can still do it. We're just starting with wollastonite because we know wollastonite is a really, really awesome reactive material. But we've looked at, olivine, basalt, slag, fly ash. And the cool thing is about this design, I think it'll allow us to experiment with different ones. One of the things that's cool about wollastonite, when it reacts with the CO2, it creates calcium carbonate and silica. And when we were having our sort of, geeking out on the clay side of things, this idea where potters already and ceramicists already add calcium carbonate and silica to clay to make them stronger and reduce the temperature at which they have to be fired. So this dream we've had from the very beginning of Epiphyte is that can you store the carbon you capture in a DAC in the next DAC you build? So we'll still, shelve that, but have that as a goal. But yeah, I look forward to testing a variety of different materials. Wollastonite's not the cheapest version too, so it would be cool to get other stuff. All right, we got Will. Will, we got like 10 minutes before we have to jump, 8 minutes to be precise. I shared with everybody that the sorbent arrived and is in hand. I told everybody that by tomorrow at 5, I will have the monoliths, which I'm going to drop off to you guys at your meeting.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and we got the Arduino Mega should come on Friday, and they got the walls tonight. So we kind of have everything to really start building the core of this right now at this point. And then I sent you that copy of Kirsch did give some initial answers to your questions. He watched your video. I don't know if he's emailed you separately. He said he would, but he does want to jump on a call and he can kind of run us through. Maybe we could do it on a Wednesday call, have him for the hour, and just once you have the monoliths, he can kind of talk you through what he's doing with a monolith in his hand and a monolith in your hand. So anyway, how's it going? Any updates on your side?
Yeah, so I've been able to do a second wash coating on the little mini monoliths, and I got a mass increase. So it's still increasing the mass after the second PEI washing. So it looks like it's being able to pick up more PEI. The only thing, though, is that the one that you bought for us, Chris, this one is a different molecular weight. It should be okay, but it's more liquidy. So it's actually probably be easier to work with. But I think we might have to do maybe like a more concentrated solution, or maybe a like multiple wash coatings to get the same amount of mass increase. Kind of hard to say, but yeah, I'm not sure. It's kind of interesting because 600 molecular weight versus I think it's like 2,500 for the one that we have. It's quite a bit of difference, and it could even be the case that the one that we have in our lab, the 2,500 one, that one is not the best for wash coating. Like it may be too difficult to be able to get it onto the surface because it's just so dense, or the surface area is not right for grafting, or it's too heavy, I guess, maybe. So this one might work out better, actually. So I'm kind of excited to test this one out too. But I think since we're going to get the monoliths soon, then I'll probably just wait to make a solution of PEI with the one that you bought, the 600 molecular weight one, and just try it out with the new monoliths instead and see how that one goes. And then just have the other one in backup, so maybe we can test that out too. Maybe 2,500 kilodalton molecular weight is a little bit better. It's hard to say right now, but kind of excited.
Okay. Yeah, we'll talk to Kirsch, and hopefully he can just literally walk us through that. That very specific PEI that I ordered was his recommendation.
Yeah.
So he must have an idea about how to apply it. I think he mixes the PEI with some other thing, maybe, to kind of, I can't remember, to make it more dunkable, but he'll tell us about it. He mentioned it on that call. We had him for an hour a couple months ago. And that actually, I might go back and take a look at that one because he gave some specifics as to their process there. So
if I remember correctly, I think it's just he dissolves it in ethanol. I think that was it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, but he said something was in there. One thing I wanted to bring up real quick before we jump off, because we only have a few minutes. But again, you can tell from my more than normal antsiness that I'm just super excited that we're going to be building in a week. I cannot wait. But one of the things I was thinking, Seth, we have a couple of different points at which we want to do the CO2 readings, right? And they're expensive. And some of them don't love a lot of exposure to heat, and trying to think of ways around that. One thing I was thinking to be kind of interesting is imagine if where we want to put it, if we had this sensor almost like a mouse, like on a little, like sort of, we hang it from the unit on like a string or a chain or something, right? And wherever we want to build it in, we create a kind of here's the link. We create almost like a thing where you could slide a little container with the sensor head. You could click it on to the place where you're trying to do the CO2 reading. And by clicking it on, it would open up a little bit of a hole, and you could take the reading and then pull it off and click it onto something else. I'm just trying to think of could we have a multi-use sensor that rather than it always being fixed onto the same thing, you can just put it on when you need a reading and then put it on the other thing. I don't know if I'm making any sense there, but we just sort of we haven't figured out how to do the sensors with such high heat yet, and that was kind of one idea I had.
Yeah, I worry about putting the same sensor in multiple locations. I worry about different degrees of turbulence and calibration. Your calibration might be different depending on where in the system you put it.
Yeah.
And so, if we had very specific locations and we knew that the conditions were generally going to be similar in those different locations, it might work. The other thing is that these sensors are all very sensitive to temperature and pressure. And so if you have a big jump in temperature all at once, that could really affect your performance until things settle.
Okay. All right. Well, that's the thing we're just having to figure out. So Thomas and Charles and Will, I think on Thursday, we'll have all of these, the mechanical parts. It'd be cool to just see them all sitting on a table, and we could just start to kind of, think through what do we know and not know about how certain things will attach. I think that'll be illuminating, just having them in our presence. Ling, we got to jump off in like 2 minutes. It's a short call today, but just some updates for you that I mentioned is I showed the chimney pipe to everybody. That has been dropped off to the UT team on Sunday. That's pretty awesome, actually. I dropped the video on the Discord.
Is that a double wall?
Yeah, it's double wall. Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yep. We got this. The Will has the sorbent is in hand as well. The monoliths are going to be dropped off at my house before 5 p.m. tomorrow. I'm immediately going to take them over to UT for their meeting. The Arduino that our software team wanted is going to arrive on Friday. The Wollastonite has been dropped off to the UT team as well. So we have like most of our stuff is coming together, and so we're looking at starting actual building as early as next Thursday night is the second part of their meetup. So, and Charles or Will or Thomas will also be able to, going forward, have a camera on with the build next to them during these calls, so we can actually take a look at the progress that we're making. So, very exciting.
Yeah. Also, this is my last call before I head out. So I do have until like the next Wednesday. I won't be able to make this call, but before that, I'll be open if anyone needs help.
Where's your first destination again, Link?
I'm going to Cambodia.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, you'll still be Discording with us, I hope, and maybe occasionally you'll be not able to fall asleep and can jump onto these, but your efforts have been extraordinary. I know this is not goodbye; it's just goodbye to your face for a while.
Yeah, I just don't know how my internet will be.
Yeah. All right. Well, you'll see the progress. It's about to start. So absolutely thrilled. All right, everybody. Great job. Will, let's you and I, maybe I'll send an email to Kirsch, just following up on that WhatsApp with you copied, and see if we can just kind of get that on track so you have very specific direction. But
Sure.
Coming together. All right, guys. Thanks, everybody.
All right. See you, Chris. See you, Ling. Thanks for the help.
Cheers. Bye.
See you.